Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, regardless of where you are. It's always a great time to study the gospel enlightened by Spiritism. Today, we're going to review chapter 54 of the book Our Daily Bread. This chapter is called The Reason for the Summons, and it's based on Peter. Actually, it was mentioned by Peter, and it's Acts chapter 10, verse 29. Before we begin, I'd like as always to take this opportunity to thank Kardec Radio for bringing to us conversations just like this one. Kardec Radio is available in several platforms in social media, including the X platform. And the interesting thing about the X platform is that in it, you can submit your questions and comments, and the staff from Kardec Radio will respond to your inquiries. Before we begin, let's close our eyes in prayer and thank the Lord for all the opportunities for enlightenment that we receive. Thank the Lord for all the support throughout our lives. Life has not always been easy to us. However, everything for us is a lesson. May we learn to maintain positive vibrations, positive symphony with our spiritual friends of the higher order, because they are always there to support us. They are always there to assist us. May God's love be with us. So be it. Again, we're going to be discussing chapter 54, the book Our Daily Bread, and it's titled The Reason for the Summons. And again, it's based on Acts chapter 10, verse 29. So this particular passage reads as such. So when I was sent for, I came without raising any objection. May I ask why you sent for me? There's a very interesting story behind that, and who said that was Peter, Simon Peter, and he was summoned by the centurion Cornelius. Cornelius was known for being even though he was a Roman citizen, he was known for being a generous person and also righteous. And the night before he was asked to be in the presence of the centurion, Simon Peter had a dream in which he saw all kinds of food being displayed. The next day, when he received the summons to go see a centurion, to go see a Roman citizen, that's when he realized the message. And the message in this case was that it was okay to interact with Gentiles, to interact with others who were not Jews, and to spread the word of the gospel with them. The aspect of the passage that we want to discuss right now is the fact that the first thing that Peter asked is, why, may I ask you why you sent for me? It is a very important question, because all the laborers of the gospel, all of those who are involved in disseminating, not so much disseminating, but especially in living the gospel, we should always understand that if we're being requested to be in a certain place at a certain location, you know, are those individuals, are they willing to have a conversation with us, a proper conversation with us? Are they willing to I should not say so much accept, but respect our positions as well? And it works both ways. Whenever we quote unquote whenever we ask for someone to be with us, may that individual be incarnate and disincarnate, and we recognize the spiritual merits of that particular spirit, again, both either incarnate or disincarnate, are we in a position, are we ready to be in presence of that particular spirit? Emmanuel explains this quite well here, indicating that It first indicates that the question that Peter asks the centurion Cornelius is of great significance in apostolic accomplishments. So it's of great significance. And why? Emmanuel continues. The Roman dignitary was traditionally known for to be upright and charitable. I mean, he was a charitable, a good person. He solicited the presence of the disciple of Jesus to attend to matters of higher order, after receiving a generous counsel from an emissary from heaven. In spite of that, upon arriving at the domestic circle, the level-headed former fisherman from Capernaum, Capernaum asked, "May I ask you why you sent for me?" So again, even though the centurion had this reputation of being a charitable, good person, and even though Peter had been uh, indicated he had foresaw that something was going to happen the next day. So, but he still asked. I mean, so you called for me. What exactly do you need me to do here for you? What's the purpose for me to be here? And Mary continues indicating that Simon desired to know the reason for this request as a vigilant worker who would need to know exactly where he stands and with what finality he had been convoked to a foreign soil. The foreign soil, in this case, the house of the centurion. But this is quite interesting. Again, works both ways. All of us are trying to be vigilant workers and vigilant workers for good. So, whenever we are being summoned, whenever we're going to be invited to a location, we should be asking ourselves, why am I here? And and we should be asking ourselves again as workers of the good. So why am I with the family that I have? I can ask myself, what am I doing here? What's my purpose? What's the reason for me to be living in this, for me to have reincarnated in this particular household? The same thing applies with our workplaces. So, why is the reason for me to be there 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? Of course, depending on the job. Some individuals have two jobs due to circumstances, and some people have one job that demands a whole lot more hours. But regardless, what's the reason for you to be in that place? Meaning, what is it that you're going to learn spiritually and to contribute? And also, how can you contribute positively to that location, to that place, in this case, workplace? This is no different, again, than also our neighborhoods, our communities, our cities, our countries. A lot of times we're wondering, why have I been born in such and such country? Again, as a worker, or at least somebody who's trying to be a worker of the gospel, a worker of good, an emissary of righteousness, should be asking yourself, well, I mean, why, right? What is it that I can learn from this environment that I'm in, and what is it that I can teach as well? How can I contribute? That's a very valid question. Emmanuel continues here indicating that this expressive picture suggests many new ideas to the new students of the gospel. Many people desiring to hear this or that enlightened spirit, which they have heard about, often invoke the presence in their doctrinary meanings. So this is again, Emmanuel in this case is referring to us, right? To us to have the presence. We ask for the presence of this enlightened spirit. And the way I see this here, enlightened spirit, he does not necessarily differentiate at this point if it's incarnate or disincarnate. So a lot of times we want that, right? We want those higher order spirits, these enlightened spirits, to be in our presence again, either disincarnated spirits through a medium, for instance, or having their presence with us, or even incarnated spirits. I mean, those people who we know have truly good hearts and we do perceive the enlightenment of those individuals. But Emmanuel indicates here that such a request is stormy and senseless. So that request is stormy, I mean it's something that's like at the moment. It is something like impromptu, not and not well thought out. And the same thing as far as senseless makes no sense. I mean, unless, and he explains here next, how could we possibly request the company of someone we do not merit? So a lot of times again, we are in our study groups or any kind of environment, we're expecting for higher order spirits to be with us. Make no mistakes. Those spirits want to be with us. They want to help us. And same thing again with the incarnate spirits as well. Sometimes we want to be in presence of people who are good, who are righteous, who disseminate light. But are we ready for those? One thing is for me to expect to be in that the presence of such a higher spirit. But am I ready for that? Am I in a position to ask for that spirit to be? Because if all I want is just for my own vanity to have that spirit there, that's a waste of time for me and for the spirit. And so again, am I creating the circumstances for that spirit to be there? Emmanuel continues indicating that we cannot attribute this impulse as frivolous, but we must try to evaluate the importance of the finality at play. So again, why I should ask, okay, why would I have to want to have an enlightened spirit to be in my presence? I mean, again, it's because of my vanity, it's because I want to say, hey, I am presence of such and such, or maybe it is because I truly want to learn that spirit. I truly want to be inspired by that spirit. And again, it applies again to our circumstances. So a lot of times, again, I wish I were in a family that was more harmonious. I wish I had coworkers who were nicer, and I wish I were in a country that have certain moral parameters. Um, but again, why? Why the question is why? And it might so be that the circumstances that I'm in right now, I shouldn't say might so be, definitely whatever the circumstances I'm in right now are the best for me. I am in the best family, the best family for me. I might, the most productive, meaning the place where I'm going to learn more and contribute more. That's where I'm in. Again, that could be a family, that could be a workplace, a country, municipality, a world, a planet, like the planet Earth. A lot of times we might be thinking, "Wow, what am I doing here on planet Earth? I should be in a more elevated planet." But again, why? Why would I like to be at a more enlightened planet? Is it because I want to be there and be part of the light, or is just because I want I want to satisfy my pride and and doing so and doing so by being amongst higher order spirits. So again, we should always ask why. But bottom line is, whatever circumstance we are in on earth, that's the very best for us, because those circumstances are opportunities for us to develop. They're opportunities for us to learn new things and to grow. Manual finalizes indicating that, let us imagine that you have summoned Simon Peter to a particular prayer meeting. And let us suppose that the venerable apostle accused. Naturally, you would be obliged to explain to this celestial emissary the motive for your request. Again, okay, so if as a higher order spirit like Simon Peter does come to my presence, the first thing he's going to ask, just like in the parable here, I was not saying parable, in the passage, the first thing is, okay, may I ask you why you sent for me? And Emmanuel continues explaining here that reflecting sensibly over your mental attitude, let us evaluate if we possess sufficient spiritual involvement. I'm sorry, spiritual involvement to see, to listen, and to understand this glorious spirit. Which one of us could truly respond in the affirmative? Would we have the audacity to invoke the sublime disciple merely to hear him speak? So think about it. If we are in the presence, if we ask for the presence of higher order spirits, I mean, why is that? Am I going to be in a position to listen to that spirit? Am I going to be in a position to learn from that spirit? Am I going to be in a position to apply what I learned from that spirit? Am I going to make the best of the circumstance? It's up to us. So we need to have some introspection and ask ourselves. And again, the same thing happens to any circumstance in life. In the family I'm in, the group of friends that I'm uh, involved with. Again, my workplace, my city, my country, and again, my planet. Am I mean, if I'm not happy in that particular environment, is it not happy because I'm feeling that is it pride and selfishness? I think that I could be in a better situation and I think it could be more advantageous for me to be somewhere else, or is it truly because I'm ready to learn new things? Great question. But again, regardless of we are, we should make the best of what's been offered to us, because if God is just and love and all caring for us, He only gives us the best. And that applies also to our circumstances and to the relationships that we are in. That's our conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, regardless of the social media using, you may either select the like button or uh, and follow button or the subscribe button. Cardiac Radio offers, again, programs in several platforms. Something that it's worth noting as well is that Cardiac Radio is they have their own app as well. And in the app, you have conversations just like this one. However, they are offered in a podcast style. So make sure you check it out in your favorite app store, and regardless of the type of device that you're using. So again, let's close our eyes again for our closing prayer. We want to thank the Lord for so many great things that are offered to us. Thank you for the presence of all those spirits, incarnate and disincarnate, in our lives. All of them have something to teach to us. And in some cases, we even have something to teach to others as well. Thank you, Lord, for all the circumstances we're in, because whatever we receive from you is the best for us, is the best for our growth, it is the best to enrich our conscience and open our eyes to all the great things that are in the universe for us. Whatever we're going through right now, the joyful and the challenging, regardless of it, we should always remember that we are immortal spirits and everything's a lesson and everything shall pass. Thank you. May your peace be with us always. So be it.